Nah, recording.
Craig is no longer thinking. Now Craig is recording.
Is Craig a robot?
I mean, I don't know how Craig works. Maybe he is a robot. I doubt he has a body. Probably just an AI or something.
He has like one of those AI chips that give him +1 to charisma.
Yeah, he's Chat GPT.
Greg, something or other.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, Craig GPT.
so, welcome to the Grumpy Dungeon Master podcast show thing. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher, along with Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay,
Hi
and
guys.
pulling this out of the woodwork yet again. But I have to announce that we will be doing a sponsored stream next Monday on our Twitch channel, where we'll be playing through a tabletop role-playing game developed by someone local here in Charleston.
Are you running it?
Well, it's individual, so like the way the system works is you don't need a party of people. It's just you and the module. When you run through the module and you get scored, and then you upload that score onto their website, and then they basically provide rewards and stuff to help you out in further adventures. So it's a neat little system. We'll walk through the whole thing and explain it all out in detail on that Monday, but we'll pretty much play through it once each of us, and see how that goes. But yeah, we actually have a sponsored stream next Monday.
All right, that should be interesting.
It definitely will. It definitely is going to be interesting. So it'll be on the 25th. So make sure to tune in and let us know how bad we do. And then
Can we get through the whole thing in the 3 hours we normally stream?
yes, actually, the modules are built to basically take about an hour to 2 hours at most. And that's because it's individual, and they release a new module each month. So we'll definitely basically be able to get through our games together, and then see how we fare and how we do, and see how well we place.
So
Does
so
all of our DMing skills actually matter?
are we playing it at the same time, or are we playing it
We'll
separate?
figure it out. We might do it me first, then you. Who knows?
Oh, okay. So, but that is an option.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it should
Yeah.
be a lot of fun. Definitely tune in and watch us. We'll start at 9 like we normally do.
What's the date for that? The
The 25th.
25th. So check us out. It should be interesting.
Yeah.
Because normally we would be streaming 7 Days to Die. But
Yeah. We gotta figure out what we're doing with that.
yeah.
We gotta find some barter hordes or something.
Uh,
They need more patches.
yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could always go back to the Darkness Falls mod.
Have they updated it for Alpha 21 yet?
I don't know. I mean, you could we could set it to Alpha 20 and still make it work, but
Yeah, it works. Okay.
yeah, we'll figure something out.
On to D&D news. So the first thing of D&D news that I have for us today is Reese's Sticks. I apologize. This isn't actually D&D news. This is candy that I found at the grocery store. That's amazing.
Reese's Sticks?
Yeah. So picture a Kit Kat. Okay. Yep. But not a peanut butter Kit Kat. Picture a Reese's peanut butter cup crossed with a Kit Kat.
Yeah, so it's in the shape of a Kit Kat, but it's just chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah.
I mean, you had me at chocolate and peanut butter. I don't really care what it looks like. It can just be all mixed up in a bowl, and I'm in.
You got your peanut butter in my chocolate.
Yeah.
You got my chocolate and my peanut butter.
Yeah.
I love that Family Guy skit where you like murders him and steals it.
I don't know how any of this pertains to D&D, but
it got me thinking. There's no candy in D&D. Like, I know there is, but I couldn't name any like treat or candy that exists in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, a lot of that comes from in 4th and 5th. Not much was mentioned, but even I was looking through the Ed Greenwood books. There's like a dessert, okay, but that's not a candy. It's a dessert. Okay, that's like you sit down and you eat it. It's not something like you walk around with candy bar style. Yeah. I don't think they've ever mentioned cotton candy. I looked through a couple, like the Waterdeep book and a couple other books looking at like fairs and stuff like that. Didn't see like any lollipops or any hard candies or anything like that. I assume hard candies are a thing. That's pretty easy. You just melt sugar, add flavoring, and you're done. So I'm assuming hard candies exist. But I don't know of any like water deep wafers or anything like that that are actual candies
Yeah.
that are a staple of the Faerun D&D world. Are there any in Pathfinder? Has
I
anyone ever made any?
I have never heard of candy in D&D, and I've been playing a long time, and this is the first time I've ever even thought about it.
And
So,
that's what got me thinking when I was buying and eating these Reese's. I was like, these are amazing. This is definitely going to add to take away from my constitution. But man, they're good because I bought like the jumbo pack, which had 4 king size variants inside. So
yep.
essentially like 16 sticks of these things. They're so good, but they're like 210 calories a stick,
Oh my god.
something like that.
Oh,
Yeah, 220 calories a stick. No,
yeah.
sorry, my bad. 110 calories a stick. Each
How many?
one contains 4, so there's
So
440
that's for
calories.
oh my lord.
The chocolate peanut butter and wafer.
I ate an entire cheese Danish yesterday, which was about 400 or so calories. So you that's a lot of calories for just a candy bar.
It
Uh,
really is. But like candy's a really good source of quick energy from a
sure, yeah.
like
If you need some
you know
carbs, need some
yeah,
energy.
real world thing. Then you get your blood sugar up. Oh, you're about to go running for a mile and a half. Eat a candy bar. It'll have some kind of fuel. It's definitely not a healthy thing
No,
by any means.
no.
Um,
It's an occasional thing, not a
yeah,
everyday thing.
I remember watching some kind of old. Um, I think it was like Davy Jones or Davy Crockett. I mean, and like some one of those old movies, the Cowboys and Indians back in the '80s.
Hmm.
And I remember watching this one movie over and over and over again. And they had an entire army of like these like skirmishers on the cowboy side, or it could have even been on the American side versus the English. I can't remember. It's been so long.
Yep.
No, it was versus Indians. And they basically were only allowed to have a handful of grain a day for food. That's all that they were allowed to carry because they had to travel light. And they had to get like these wooden canoes up a mountain and over a mountain. They had to sleep in the trees because the Indians would be hunting down below. And one guy in the group went crazy and basically started giving away all of his rations to people, all of his bag of food, giving everybody extra handfuls. He's like, I don't need it. I got food right here. And he had something in a bag. Well, it turns out what he had in the bag was an Indian head that he was eating.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
So he had definitely just lost it. And, that this whole thought and process I had is while I was sitting here at home, sick as a dog, while you were out playing in the woods with a LARP and having a grand old time. That's
Yep.
what I was thinking about. Yeah, candies in D&D, or even like I guess granola bars would exist, things like that, or surely they're around, but I
Like
just nothing
I
official.
would imagine the vast majority. So, I guess it kind of depends on your setting, but I generally think of D&D, the majority of settings, as being just medieval. Like
Hmm.
that's the setting that I'm thinking of, which doesn't leave you a lot of sweet items. Like honey is going to be the majority of what you would use for sweetener, I would think.
Hmm.
Because like I know sugar existed, but it definitely was not common during the medieval era. So
Right.
anything, yeah. I mean, I guess like nowadays people still roll up, like a honey with granola, so you can have sweet little treats like that. But sweets really weren't a big thing during the medieval times. A lot of people didn't really eat that stuff. All of that being said, though, thanks Reddit, because I have found a list of 100 fantasy sweets.
Yeah, I'm sure you could Google it and find a list, but I'm more focused on like the whole was there anything
Why? Yeah,
official?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why has it never really come up? Because there is definitely official recipes. There's a whole
Hmm.
book that's been released for fifth edition on just recipes that you could cook that are real foods.
And yeah, and I have that, and there's no candies. There's desserts. Okay, like I know a Turkish delight is an old candy.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's a candy for sure. But it's basically a jelly, or not a jelly, but like a gel of starch and sugar, and you put nuts in it and stuff like that. There's 100,000 variations. Um, and I know that's super, super, super old. Um, this is
Sorry,
just,
I'm scrolling through the list, and there's some fucking winners in here.
I mean, like, I guess a lot of the candies back then would have, back in like even the Renaissance area, would have just been like small cakes and stuff like that, wrapped up and
Yeah,
covered
yeah,
in sugar or something. I don't know, but like, I was kind of hoping there'd be actual official D&D candy somewhere.
yeah. But no, they're not that I've ever seen. So, hmm, well, hey, you could write up that could be something you release on the DM's Guild. While it wouldn't
No,
technically be official, it would.
there is a couple. I did look.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I know people make like there's an official D&D product that's cherry um tarts, like sweet tarts. There's cherry
Yeah, yeah.
potion sweet tarts.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I saw those when I was googling this.
yeah. There's also like sour gummy dice and stuff like that, and D&D lollipops and stuff like that. So there are candies out there that D&D brand. And I guess you could just say, hey, those exist in a D&D world. Remember the nerds we
Oh
had
yeah,
on?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Cat
yeah.
Kruger is who was the writer for that, if I remember.
So I mean, nerds are official in D&D lore then for sure.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing: it's a fantasy setting, so you could literally just pull like the Harry Potter, type candies. The very first. I know you don't know shit about Harry Potter, but the very first movie, at least, Harry finds out he's worth a bazillion damn dollars, and they just buy the entire candy cart and start eating till they're stupidly fat and full.
Actually, real quick, I hate to go to a side, but since you brought up Harry Potter and his immense wealth, why, oh why did he just went? Wait, I'm worth a bazillion jillion dollars. All right, bet. I'm just gonna sell it all and retire right now.
Nah, bro. Nah. While I'm sure he could have done that, I can think of myself if I was a kid. If I'm 10 years old or whatever the hell Harry was, and find out, okay, I'm worth a lot of money, and I can learn to do magic. Oh, I'm gonna fucking do magic.
Oh, I have to go to school or Disneyland. Wow, Disneyland. I'm gonna go buy Disneyland, guys. Bye.
Well, all of that being said, I'm fairly sure there was a bit of a hold on his money. I don't know the specifics of it because I've never read the books, and it wasn't ever mentioned in the movies per se. But they went to his vault with Dumbledore, and Dumbledore just gave him some money. So I'm fairly sure Dumbledore had control of the funds. Harry probably didn't have full access until he was 21 or some shit.
It sounds like BS.
I
Yeah,
mean
Harry
that.
needs to just get all of his money. That's his money. He needs to go retire right now.
I mean that's
Buy
not.
buy an island in the Bahamas. I doubt Voldemort's going to chase him down there. What, Harry Potter doesn't exist? Okay. I'll
You
go
mean
take a.
Harry Potter, the one guy who can stop me, has decided to just give it all up and go to the fucking Bahamas? All right, cool.
All right, bet I'm gone. Yeah, exactly. It's just silly.
Yeah, yeah, but that's not how it works in the real world. Children who end up with, all that money, there's usually a caretaker in control of it because you cannot trust a child with money, as we see from Harry buying the entire fucking candy cart.
No, I mean you would expect that from a child.
Right. You can't give them that kind of money and just let them do what they want.
Yes, you can. You're fine. Go buy all that money, Harry. You do
Yeah.
you.
That's how you end up with Hollywood.
So
So
I'm interested in hearing people provide me some D&D candies in the comments or on Facebook or whatnot. Tell us your favorite D&D candies, and hell, even if they're magical, let us know what they are.
my favorite, I've because I was parsing through this Reddit list, is orc balls. They're a green hard candy that tastes minty and salty.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put 'em in the mouth.
uh,
Uh,
there's also the kobold cuties. They're just like atomic fireballs, but each one has a grinning kobold face painted on it. You take 1 fire damage if you fail a con saving throw.
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely probably some really good ones. Like fizzy lifting drinks from from like Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
That's gotta be something
yeah,
some variation of that.
exactly. The ones that turn you purple. Like literally anything out of Willy Wonka's would be an acceptable candy for D and
Right.
D.
Hmm.
I kind of want to see the new what Willy Wonka movie.
That just further goes down the path of you like to see just the terrible stuff.
I do enjoy lots of bad movies. I've been watching uh damn it, what's it called? I'll get back to you on this one. Go ahead.
Well, you should probably remember it because my next topic is about death.
Yeah, there's lots of death in this show, that's for sure. Twisted Metal. That's it. I've been watching Twisted Metal. It
How
is.
could you forget Twisted Metal?
I don't know. My brain wasn't working. I was fucking LARPing all weekend. Can't expect too much from me. It's been very entertaining. Not related to D&D whatsoever, but anyway.
So, death has been an ever constant thought that I've had recently. You know, my father passed away like 2 years ago.
You hit 40. I get it.
My grandmother died. I had a good friend die. 2 weeks ago, we talked about Panda's passing as well.
Yep.
And then last week, I had a coworker pass as well too. And this is just like some random coworker. Like this is a guy that I worked with every single day, and it was a key part of running and doing what I do every single day. And he unfortunately got sick and passed as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a big topic on my mind recently, for sure. Um, so I was thinking and just kind of browsing some stuff on Reddit and TikTok like I do while I'm sick, and I come across a post about how revivify in the D&D world um, is basically the worst spell that you could ever think of in existence for oppressing people. Now, what they were trying to get at was something like, you could always just keep resurrecting people over and over again and basically make them do your bidding, fight your armies and whatnot, but it would just cost money. And they were kind of overlooking the fact that inside the spell description says, if the spirit's willing, it will come back.
Right.
Okay. So then I was thinking, it's like, okay, so let's take what they're thinking a step further. Since the weave and magic can be changed and modified, let's assume that they find a way to remove the um, the has to be willing restriction, and they remove the can't die of old age restriction as well too. Now you're talking about a very oppressive spell. Banks not letting you die while you owe them money. Prisons
you
making
you
sure that you stay alive to serve out your hundreds of years of imprisonment. Um, you know, if you got the cost down cheap enough, or you were in with a bunch of cool gods, you kept resurrecting your army over and over and over again, and basically being this unstoppable mass where it just comes down to how many diamonds you have.
yeah.
Um, that would really mess things up. But then again, too, like even with Revivify, and we've talked about this fact a little bit too, where like it's cost 3,000 gold. You need a gem to do it. It's not like anyone can just do that, and your average farmer can't. Even your average party sometimes can't either.
Yeah.
But how would that affect like the world government? Okay, where the people who do have the money, the ruling class, where they're now always going to stay alive, especially if they're like half elf
Yep.
or elf, they're never going to die of old age. Okay, they're just going to get older and older and older. And then on top of that, if they do die for some reason, they can just get revivified right back, continuing their oppression longer and longer and longer. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, why hasn't that happened in Faerun? I don't know of any stories like that. I don't know of any king that's basically being kept alive nearly permanently with revivify and
Well, that
magical assistance.
very
I know
specific.
Shroud's like that, but
Well, very specifically with revivify, though, you can't return to life a creature that has died of old age.
right. So I'm saying, like, if it was an elf or if you're half elf,
Well, yeah,
they
they
got
live.
race change as an option.
I mean, race change isn't really a thing in D&D.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
not really. There's
You
the
just you just go find a powerful enough druid that will work for money, and then you die, and he brings you back, and you roll the dice, and like, okay, now you're a gnome. Well, fuck that, stab. Okay, try it again. Ah, we got
yeah.
elf
I'm trying to think of the name of that spell.
reincarnation.
Reincarnation. Thank you. I need to pull it up. I want to see the exact wording. Reincarnate. There you go. You touch a dead humanoid or a piece of a dead humanoid, provided that the creature has been dead no longer than 10 days. Spell forms a new adult body for it and then calls the soul to enter that body. If the target soul isn't free or willing to do so, the spell fails. Magic fashions a new body for the creature to inhabit, which likely causes the creature's race to change. Roll a d100, consult the table. Let's see, what's the requirements? It cost 1,000 gold pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just trying to become an elf,
Mm-hmm.
let's see, 2 to 25. So 22 to 42 would get you an elf. So you've got about a 1 in 5 chance of becoming an elf.
Mm-hmm.
Elves can live varying. Uh, Dark elves are about 800 years at the max. High elves are about 1,000 years at the max. That is not a 5e stat. That's just what it was from the times I remember it. I don't think 5e actually ever. I've never seen it say it, but it probably does somewhere. So let's assume 800 years.
Mm-hmm.
So 1,000 gold pieces, and you'd probably have to cast this 2 or 3 times to get that elf with
Mm-hmm.
it with about a 20% chance, maybe more. Yeah. So you might drop say 5 grand into that just to become
Mm-hmm.
an elf. Then you still have to wait for you to die. Uh, but sooner or later you're going to die, and you can't revivify, you can't resurrect, reincarnate.
Yeah,
Reincarnate probably would work. It doesn't say anything. Um,
it makes a new body for you.
yeah, so you could feasibly just use reincarnate. Yeah, like I don't see anything in here about it not about permanent death from old age. So reincarnate's the way to go. Revivify shit by comparison.
Well, like I said, like if you could definitely find a way to, modify the weave and modify that spell, I mean that's a good plot line for a story,
Yeah,
like,
this
hey, this one king and his band of archmages have changed revivify and now live eternal, with non-necro, well, I guess revivify is necromantic magic, but not through like an undead sort of variant,
yeah, I mean it's druidic magic, so it's definitely not necromantic. It's
well, I
actually even
mean,
it even registers as transmutation.
well, I was talking more about revivify instead of
Oh,
reincarnate.
sure, yeah. Revivify is necromancy, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but even if you were to do it with reincarnate, you could easily make up or find a spell that changes your race, and this shouldn't be too hard. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about within the actual rules. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're you as the DM, you can do whatever you want. If you want to have a race change scroll, by all means, go for it. But
Yep.
otherwise, reincarnate is the only way I am familiar with, besides maybe some magic items. I know there's a magic item that turns you into a dwarf.
Yeah. And
um,
dwarves live for a long time,
yeah, I have 450, 500 years.
but I'm
Uh,
thinking that would be a pretty good plot
the,
line.
Yeah, you could run a neat little story like that. The problem, I think you would be more likely to do it sort of low key though. Like if it's a king who's been doing this for 4,000 years or whatever, you know as well as I do that kingdoms don't last that long. They like something always happens. Some cataclysm happens, an uprising happens.
Well,
Some
that's my whole point. Is like, even if an uprising were to happen, okay, and you get out there and you slay the king, and the very next morning he's back again.
Yeah, but
You know,
what about all of the people that held him in, like or held him in status. All of the people that were surrounding him, his his chamberlain, all of the guards that worked with him. There's no way you're reincarnating all these people.
Why
There's
not?
no there's no way you're revivifying all these people. First off, you have to have enough casters that would survive the uprising who would be willing to do that to all of those people.
Yeah, I mean, you only need one mage, one cleric.
No, well, yeah, but one cleric. Okay, so say you had a druid who's willing to do this. It's a fifth level spell. That means you're going to get maybe four of them in a day. That's four reincarnates in a day that you can cast.
Yeah. So you resurrect the king, his champion, and everything else. And the army's not going to fall apart in one evening, you know.
I mean,
And
it
you,
can.
you
It
you
just
would think
depends.
that the resistance would go after the head of the snake first, but it's just obviously not working. Your heroes are sent to go topple this corrupt noble that's selling people. You know, you get in there and you murder him, and he shows up, again the next day in the same chamber, like nothing bad happened.
Yeah, but okay, I'm just thinking through history, when there's an uprising, you don't just kill the top guy, you kill him and everyone around him.
Yeah.
You kill all of his all of his troops, at least the leadership of the troops. You kill all of the people who are propping him up. A lot of times, you're going to kill the merchants that are attached to him. This is how uprisings work. So you're talking thousands of dead people that were working for the king, and that
Mhm.
usually happens very quickly.
I think it'd be interesting.
I mean, you could definitely write it so to make it that way.
Mhm.
I'm talking from a bit more realistic perspective, about a fantasy game.
Yeah, I mean, but you send the party gets sent in. They kill the king. We killed the king for you, but you got to stabilize the government. Whatever. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. And they show up, and there's the king in the town square with his guard, murdering more people.
Yep,
And then you like kill him again. He comes back again the next day. It's like, look, this is getting kind of tiring. You know, it's like you'll die before I run out of gems.
yep. I the sorcerer that I played for a very long time. Once I got to a point where I had enough money, like nobody in my party could ever really and truly be killed off, because
Yeah.
we talked about it on here before, but we just each took like part of a toe or part of a finger or something off, and
Hmm.
just we handed off to a certain clergy had it hidden away, and if we ever died off, they just cast true resurrection on us, and boom, we're back.
Yeah.
Lose
So
all
you're
of our
talking
items,
talking
but
about
yeah,
a secret underground like church underneath your kingdom that has all those like fingers just stashed aside. You know, when they resurrect you, they cut off the next one and leave it there, and they just got like this wall of diamonds behind them
yep,
to keep resurrecting you and your top officials.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think that is easily creatable and manageable.
yeah,
Not on a mass scale, like nothing like tens of thousands, but at least a good 100 people you could get in that.
yes, yeah. You could definitely do. The people who are really and truly propping up the king and keeping him in power, yeah, you could probably do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
think it'd be interesting.
yeah, I see no reason to not have that be the case. I might already have some stuff like that in my own setting that I'm not going to talk about on here because I have players who
And
also listen to the
reincarnation's cool, especially the line where it says it makes you a new vessel.
Yeah.
Well, what does a new vessel mean? Like what is that? Are you exactly back at the same age?
Well,
You know?
yeah, it says the spell forms a new adult body.
Okay.
So that is up to the DM to make that choice. Are they 21? Are they 45? Are they 98?
Well,
you,
I mean,
you,
in like in elven years too. Like if you come back as an elf and you're an adult elf, you're talking like
100, yeah,
150.
yeah,
Yeah. And you still got another 700 years to go. And
yeah.
then, oh no, he died.
Let's
I
do it
I also
again.
see him too, like where he's dying on his deathbed. And all right, get the druid. The druid comes in and like stabs him, reses him. He comes right back.
I love it too because one of the options on that reincarnate list is half orc. So if you're this high elf who's lived for 800 years and you finally die of old age and then you get reincarnated and end up in the half orc body, half orc's life expectancy is like 45 or something.
Well,
Like what the
I would assume they just would kill you immediately and just keep reincarnating you until you get to the body that you want.
Yeah, I would definitely get that in writing in the whatever contract you have to get you reincarnated over and over again. If
I
I
mean,
end
that's
up,
what Johnny Carson did. So I mean,
yep, half
he's a lich.
half of our listeners probably don't even know who Johnny Carson is.
Yeah, but they've heard his jokes.
That's true. That's definitely true, whether they know it or not. Hell, I've heard his jokes, whether I know it or not, because people just steal jokes.
No, there's like 5 comedians, and they all wrote all the jokes. Johnny Carson, Richard Pryor, uh, uh,
Bill
George
Burr.
Carlin. 2 more. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which 2. Um, and they wrote all the jokes in the world, and everyone just repeats the rest of them
Yep.
in a funnier tone.
But
Oh,
yeah,
what's the one female comedian that used to fill in for Johnny Carson?
Sarah Silverman.
No,
I
what's
don't.
the J?
Eliza Schlesinger.
She was a fashionista, and so
Joan
was her
Crawford.
daughter,
Joan Crawford.
Joan
Oh no,
Rivers.
Joan Rivers. That's it.
Yeah, she's on that list for sure.
Yeah. No. Oh man, I love Joan Rivers. She was hilarious.
All right, so getting off of death and candy. 11 days ago, they released Playtest 11 for D and Done.
They did.
They did, yes,
Oh.
and to much raved fanfare, as in one post about it that I forgot about even that was even posted.
It was so popular that I just now found out about it, and you had never even mentioned it.
Nope. Um, honestly, we're not going to go through the whole thing. You don't need to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to read
I'm just trying to
the.
find it.
I'm just going to go through and read you the updates.
Is it the Player's Handbook Playtest 7?
Playtest 7, yes.
Okay. Let's see if I.
So in this playtest, there were 5 classes: the barbarian, fighter, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. Spells were revised a little bit, but we probably won't go through those. And there's some weapon revisions and feat revisions and stuff. So, starting with the barbarian, the barbarians had some level adjustments to some skills like danger sense. It was moved up to level 4, I think. It's back now to level 2. It now works if you're blind and deafened. They stated that reckless attack applies to the start of your next turn, which I think is how everyone's been playing it anyways.
Reckless attack now grants advantage to your strength-based attack rolls until the start of your next turn, which means an opportunity attack can benefit, as can subclass features like retaliation. I've never even thought about it before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was only that one attack, but I don't think anyone.
Like
Hey, are you reckless? Are you recklessing? Yeah, okay. So all your attacks are at advantage until your
yeah,
next attack, and then it's reckless. That's how Baldur's Gate 3 handles it. Even you
yeah.
know.
Well, I no like reckless for 5e was all the attacks for the turn. Let me pull up the exact wording, the current wording, not the playtest wording. Where are you? Reckless attack. Starting at second level, you can throw aside all concern for defense to attack fierce desperation. When you make your first attack on your turn, you can decide to attack recklessly. Doing so gives you advantage on melee weapon attack rolls using strength during this turn, but attack rolls against you have advantage until your next turn. Um, I, I
I'm gonna
know,
say it's like when I've played against people with barbarians, they go reckless and they're reckless until the start of their next turn. I don't think people have done it any other way, at least at
yeah,
the tables that I've played, because it just makes the most logical sense. So
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
A couple other changes.
It doesn't change anything so much as just clarify it, I think.
Yeah. They took a couple things from Tasha's and kind of integrated them into the class. Instinctive Pounce and Primal Knowledge basically just their level adjustments and just they're adding it to the class as a whole.
Hmm.
They dropped brutal critical back to level 9, and they made it so it scales at higher levels. Um, relentless rage and persistent rage were moved down a couple levels or up a couple levels. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And they clarified some text. The level 20 ability is Primal Champion, which was 18. Now it's back up to 20. And they just set your strength and con to 24 as a max, and increases it by 4 as well too.
Yeah. Once again, I don't care if those things are level 18 or level 20 because
Yeah,
they don't write anything beyond level 12. So it really doesn't matter.
right. Um, the intimidating presence is now a bonus action rather than an action, which I'm glad they're pushing more stuff to bonus action.
Yeah.
Um,
Barbarian didn't. After you rage, you didn't really have a whole lot to worry
yeah.
about there. Well, that also sort of depends on your subclass too. I was playing the whatever the storm barbarian was, and
Hmm.
I actually had to use my bonus action every round. So
Yeah. They updated Path of the Wild Heart, um, which essentially they've rolled the bear totem or the totem barbarian into this. Um, they nerfed Totem of the Bear. It's now called Rage of the Wilds. It no longer grants resistance to all damage types because it was too powerful, and now just lets you get resistance to 2 damage types of your choice.
all right. I
Mm,
mean that's fine because when you get into a fight, you can generally quickly determine what damage types you're going to need.
yeah. I mean, I'd even be fine if they said it was just bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, and like a couple of the elementals. Nothing that would like affect con,
Hmm.
but like fire. Um,
Well, yeah, there's 4 elements to pick from. Just pick one of them, or
yeah,
pick
like
2 of them. Yeah.
yeah, like poison and psychic. You shouldn't be able to resist those. Thunder, you shouldn't be able to resist that. It was kind of silly that it got resistance to everything except for psychic.
Yeah.
Um, nothing should be resistant against force. I think that needs to be scaled up. That's their massive tagline, essentially.
I think if they're going to do that, you need to reduce the amount of force spells that are in the game, and you would want to change the warlock doing basic force damage.
I give it to them because that's just basically the only thing they get,
Well, okay,
especially now.
that's a fair point. Well, that's all they ever got. Fair point.
All you get is Eldritch Blast. You shut up. A couple other changes, again, just kind of specifying how Aspect of the Wilds work and some animal changes. Nothing really like heavy to get into. Um, they did talk a little bit about how um, the Path of the World Tree Barbarian, which is a new subclass, is going to be allowing you to teleport people across the field, like because like you basically sprout into the spiritual tree, and all of your stuff and your rage is basically you being this tree, and you could transpose or trans teleport people across the field, but they'd have to pass a save in order to do that. In order to not get teleported.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want players to have to make the save when you want to teleport them. So they're clarifying that anyone can voluntarily fail a save if they wish,
Right.
which is something that's not technically in 5e, but is now there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever seen that you can voluntarily, s- fail the save, but I know that was always a thing from
Yeah.
earlier editions, at least. So.
A couple of changes to the flavoring of Path of the Zealot, um, letting you basically choose Necromantic or Radiant as your damage types for certain abilities, um, and updates to basically how many times you can use your rage between long rests. Overall, very good improvements. Nothing too crazy. Um, the fighter got a bunch of updates. Again, moving in a lot of stuff from Tasha's as becoming base fighter stuff.
Hmm.
Um, one cool thing is that Second Wind now gets charges. You start off with 2 charges a day, and you can use those 2 charges whenever you want. But on a short rest, you get 1 back.
I don't.
So
I don't hate that.
yeah,
Second wind,
it
it most of the time you get like 6 to 8 hit points back. It's not
yeah.
much.
Instead of basically getting 1 per short rest, you now get 2, and then like you can always just fuel it with short rests.
Yeah.
Action surge now allows any action except the magic action. But action surge now improves at level 17.
What does
At
it
level
get?
17, you get 2 uses of action surge.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they wow. Okay. Action surge, or it was called heroic surge in 3rd edition. It was incredibly fucking broken then.
Mm-hmm.
And from my understanding, it was broken in 4th edition. And guess what? It's also broken in 5th edition. I think action surge would be it would be a lot less broken if you didn't get it at 2nd level. I think you
Well,
should you should like this should be 6th, 7th level, somewhere in there. Because at 2nd level, it is nothing for that barbarian or that rogue or anybody to just, I'm gonna take 2 levels of fighter. And everybody has action surge. Except for spellcasters, because you can't use it with the magic action.
yeah. I get it, but it's really all fighters have is that one cool. Okay, I'm gonna action surge now. I get to do
I,
all my attacks again.
I
They did move up the 3 extra attacks from 12 to 20.
Oh, so you didn't? Well, it used to be you got it every 5 levels.
So you get extra attack and then 2 extra attacks, and then at 20 you get 3 extra attacks.
Okay, because it used to be, 1 at 1st, 1 at 5th, 1 at 10th, 1 at 15th, I think,
Yeah,
and then one at, another at 20.
yeah,
So like 5 attacks around at 20th level, but that's literally all the fighter has.
yeah.
But 5 attacks around still makes you the best fucking class in the goddamn game.
So now basically at 17 you get your 3 attacks per round plus 2 action surges. So you get 9 attacks. Essentially, you become what I've been playing Lae'zel as and
Okay,
Baldur's Gate 3.
but they are. It looks like they are removing one of those extra attacks. Now the action surge 2 times is dumb, but yeah, I don't hate maxing it out sort of at 4 attacks around.
Yeah, and they definitely added some more features and workings with the new weapon system. Um,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
yeah, that's right.
that's good.
The masteries. I'd forgot about those.
Yeah.
Now
Um,
Max is out at 6 mastery options instead of 5, so they're adding an extra mastery option.
yeah. Um, Battlemaster got a couple changes. Uh, you now Student of War now also gives you proficiency in a skill on top of I think the weapon improvements. And know thy enemy allows you to know a creature's damage resistance, immunities, and vulnerabilities as a bonus action, which I like. I've always liked being able to look at
Oh,
monsters and figuring out what they have.
yeah, they're stealing that straight from Pathfinder. Huh.
Yeah. Um, and Relentless now allows you to use a maneuver once per turn without expending a superiority die.
Relentless. That is okay. That's at level 15. Once per turn, when you use a maneuver, you can roll a d8 and use the number rolled instead of expending a superior. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I mean, at level 15, you go for broke, man.
So they added all the Tosh, most of the maneuvers from Tasha's, which um, now pretty much means you're still choosing the same ones as you chose before,
Yeah.
which is always disarming attack, tripping attack, and precision attack.
I would assume that's the case, as I've never really played a fight. I've definitely never played a battle master. So
Well, the thing about Battle Masters is because it gives you that versatility that you don't get anywhere else.
yeah,
Okay,
yep,
so like disarming attack is really really good, assuming that someone can fail the strength save. You can disarm someone of their staff, and now they don't have their staff. You can disarm someone of their shield, now their AC is lower.
yep.
Disarm somebody of the croissant that they have in their hands. You know,
Not my croissant.
So like if the big bad has the object that you're trying to get from them, you just disarming attack them and the object goes flying. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So it's really hard not to choose those same ones over and over again. And depending on how like menacing attack works, like being able to frighten people, there's a good chance like you'd always choose that one as well too. Like you get your base 3 and the rest of them are just kind of like so super conditional that it hardly ever happens. In 4th edition, because playing on the battle map was such a big thing, moving and pushing and pulling and repositioning characters on the field was so much more important than it was in 5th edition.
Yeah.
So a lot of the battle masters push pulling maneuvering attacks that it has just don't really work in 5th edition unless you're really heavy minis, but positioning really doesn't even matter then. So it's kind of like a moot point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's any game where you're going to be playing on a battle mat with 5-foot squares is going to have just a different way of playing. It's more board game. And not a I'm not shitting on it, it's not a bad thing. But it just sort of changes it changes how things are going to work.
Yeah. And like in 4th edition, positioning was very important. Um, and you had a whole
Flanking was also a big thing in fourth, wasn't it?
yeah.
Right. Right. Where it doesn't even really exist in 5e except as an alternate rule.
Yeah. But even then, like you had the Avenger class, which basically its whole job is like moving people, and like I'm gonna move you 5 spaces that way, and you're gonna take 5 damage for every square I move you. You know,
Right.
like that just doesn't exist in
Yeah.
5th
Uh,
anymore.
Other than the warlock being able to push or pull.
Yes, we all know that combo. You're not creative.
Yep.
What else for the warrior? They're going to use the enhanced unarmed strikes, improvised weapons that they got from that they've been talking about in previous editions for the brawler class for the fighter, the subclass for the fighter, which is beginning kind of neat because people have been wanting that for a while now. Just like using your fist to punch, throw, and smash things.
Yeah.
We all saw how great it was in the movie. And champions getting a couple changes. Remarkable athlete now replaces adaptable victor and moves to level 3. You get advantage on initiative rolls and strength checks, and you increase your long jump distance. And you also get a heroic warrior, which gives you a heroic advantage.
The
And
fuck
what
was that?
heroic advantage is? I just had it here.
Uh, yeah, I see a spot where it's explaining a heroic warrior, and it has heroic advantage underlined, but you can't actually click it to take you directly to a link or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to find it here. Hold on.
Yep. It's all good. Let's see what else.
DM can award heroic advantage. DM can award heroic advantage to a player character who's done something that is particularly heroic or in character. Some game features, such as human, also award heroic advantage. It's inspiration. That's what it is.
Okay, but this says you can give yourself heroic advantage whenever you start your turn without it.
Yeah.
So if you run out of heroic advantage, I'm saying it in quotes, then you can just have it.
Yep.
So at 10th level, you don't ever actually need heroic advantage. You just always have it.
Yeah.
Well,
We all like to be inspired.
so that just means you always have advantage.
Essentially, yeah.
At least on the first attack of your turn, because you have to start your turn without it to get it, and then you spend
Yeah.
it. So, all right. So why don't they could have just gotten rid of the heroic advantage thing and just said the first attack of your turn has advantage.
They're probably just like trying to keep all the terms together. Kind of like how in Magic, like
Yeah,
this can block something as though it had reach. Okay, we'll just give it reach.
But they literally just created a term that didn't even need a term.
Well, that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
Some changes to Eldritch Knight just to make the magic work a little bit better. No school restrictions. They can change cantrips per level. Fighters can use an arcane focus.
Who the fuck uses those anyway?
Me. That way I don't have to worry about stupid bags of things.
Yeah.
So some good stuff overall.
I just assume that my casters always have what they need unless there's a monetary cost for it.
So for the sorcerer, they changed a couple things. The innate sorcery ability now just empowers your spells, attack rolls, and save DCs for a limited time. And spellcasting now returns to the sorcerer spell class rather than having an arcane spell list. The sorcerer list now includes Sorcerer's Burst and Arcane Eruption, both which appear in this document, which are just new spells that they've added to the game.
Oh, okay.
Font of Magic no longer requires a bonus action to convert spell slots to sorcery points. Meta Magic, you get 2 options at 2 more at 10, 17, and you can change those options whenever you gain a level. Sorcerer's Vitality is gone. Sorcerer's Restoration moved from 15 to 5. Sorcerer's Incarnate has moved from 9 to 7 and been redesigned to enhance innate sorcery. And Arcane Apotheosis has moved to level 20.
Holy shit, you said that word right. I was certain you were going to screw that up.
No, I can read words right when I want to.
So, Arcane Apotheosis, while your innate sorcery feature is active, you can use 1 meta magic option on each of your turns without spending sorcery points on it.
So it just sounds like they made just generic quality of life improvements to the sorcerer. Which is what I was hoping these things would be anyways. Except for like the stuff they started to really come through and be crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything major in any of that.
Wild Magic Surge no longer requires DM permission. Tied to Chaos is now guaranteed to give you a roll on the Wild Magic Surge table. Thank God. Bad Luck costs 1 sorcery point instead of 2. And Wild Bombardment was formerly Spell Bombardment and allows you to use a Wild Magic Surge effect to cast a spell, or that replenishes your expanded sorcery points. That's the one thing that bugged me about the Wild Magic is I never got it to proc.
Yeah, I remember us talking about this. Whereas I, on the other hand, play under a DM who just damn near every time you cast, you get it. And Tides of Chaos was pretty much always you get it.
You still have to roll a 1 though. That's the thing is you have to get a crit fail, and it hardly ever happens.
Yeah, I don't know. We like me and Johnny we're the 2 main DMs for our play group. Like we both just like wild magic. We like crazy weird shit coming up. So either of us will it's going to happen a lot. I don't give a shit what the rules said. We just made it happen.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. Warlock. They only get light armor now at the start. They got pack magic back. Yay! Everybody cheer. They got the one thing back that they made them unique and special. Fuck you in the back. Eldritch Invocations moves to level 1. And at 20, you'll have 10 evocations rather than 8. Wait, so you only get them at...
It looks like you
no. You get up to 10. You start off with 1. Then level 2, you have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Hexmaster is gone. That's actually something I wanted to bring up. I was using a Warlock in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
And whenever I cast Hex on somebody, the way I've always played it is that you have Hex running, and it runs and runs and runs until you basically take a short rest, or you take a long rest, and then you have to cast Hex again the next day. Mm-hmm. So it's always there. I never even treated it like a concentration spell.
Yeah.
I don't remember if people actually did when I played with them. But in Baldur's Gate 3, it is concentration. I cast Hex on somebody, and immediately someone runs up and punches me in the nose, and Hex is gone. I'm built around this damage being there. It needs to be there for me to keep up with the 1700 attacks that the stupid Githyanki has, and the monsters go out of their way to punch me in the nose, so I lose it. The
So
same with like Hunter's Mark,
I think so the difference is, at least in my view, with with actual D&D, you're playing a warlock. So you're almost every warlock I know has the 300-foot range on their fucking eldritch blast. So they're always way in the goddamn back. So they're just not taking damage. They just don't get hit very often. So they don't ever have to roll for concentration. Whereas in the video game, you're gonna get hit because the combat areas they're smaller, and a lot of times shit will just get by your dudes and go hit your guy in the back because they're fucking assholes.
Just running up, fuck you, Will, punch right in the nose.
Yep. Yeah, it happens, and it happens to me every time I'm using that that character as well. But I just think I think that's the difference. It's just actual D&D, you're in the back. Video game, you might be in the back, but they're still going to get by your other dudes and still hit you.
Okay. They made a lot of changes to the Warlock. We'd probably have to swing back on that, especially the evocations now, and there's like 20 of them.
Yeah,
A lot of them.
Yeah, it says the invocations are revised, many of them. So we'll have
Yeah.
to actually take a look at those.
A lot of them are basically, if it was in Tasha's Cauldron or everything, it's in this one. And things like Beast Speech, just as an example, because they revised the spell list, Warlocks now have to speak with animals, so they got rid of Beast Speech.
Mm.
But now, if you choose Beast Speech, you can't speak with animals as a ritual.
Well, the biggest thing I always hated about the invocations is there's, just like you were talking about with the Battle Master, there's just certain ones everybody will pick. Period.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna have the fucking the one that lets you see through darkness. Like there's just specific ones they all go for, and then the other ones are usually just you can cast this spell.
Yeah, and but I found when I've played a Hexblade Warlock, like there were so many like evocations that I wanted to get, and that was like, with me not even picking up Eldritch Blast. Like there were so many that I wanted to get. Like I wanted to get Devil's Fight, I wanted to get the False Life, I wanted to get the Umbra Axis one. There were a whole bunch on there that were really good. That unlike the maneuvers from Battlemaster, which are very situational, like these just apply all the time and like just passively running.
Yeah.
So they just work so much better. But then again, Battlemaster attacks 7,500 times in a round. You get 2 attacks. Good luck.
Yep.
We'll swing back to the Warlock in the future. I think when we can read all the cool changes to the patrons and everything. Because they updated everything when it comes to their subclasses and packs, because they got everything ripped away.
Yep, looks like a lot of changes. The changes might just be going back to the way it was, since they did update so much of it previously. But
yeah,
we'll see.
So the thing with Wizard is the Wizard spellbook has now been rolled into the spellcasting feature of the class.
What do you? Where are you at on the where it says spellcasting?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Wizard spellbook is absorbed into the spellcasting feature. What the fuck does that even mean?
So level 1 spellcasting. As a student of the arcane magics, you have learned to cast spells. 3 cantrips of your choice, and blah blah blah. Rather than choosing, you can always start with Light, Mage Hand, and Ray of Frost. Why you would ever choose Ray of Frost over Firebolt, I don't know.
Yep.
Whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace one of your cantrips with this feature with another wizard cantrip. When you reach 4 and 10, you get to learn more cantrips. Spellbook. Your wizardly apprenticeship culminated in the creation of a unique book in your possession, your spellbook. It is a tiny object that weighs 3 pounds and contains 100 pages, which can only be read by you or someone casting Identify. You determine the book's appearance and materials, such as the gilded tome or collection of vellum bound together by twine. The book contains the spells of level 1 and higher. It starts with 6 1-level spells of your choice, Whenever you gain a wizard level, add 2 wizard spells of your choice to your spell book. Each of these spells must be of level which you have wizard spell slots. And it goes up from there. So
So
pretty much how I've always.
It didn't change anything. They just changed where it was located in here. Like that seems to be what it is.
Yeah. Expanding and replacing your spell book. The spells you add to your spell book as you gain levels reflect the magical research you conduct on your own, but you might find other spells during your adventures you can add to your book. You could discover a spell on a spell scroll or an ancient tome, for example, and you can copy the spells into your spell book using the process below, and then they outline the process and
I
how
see.
long it.
I see what it is. They just altered spell casting, like
Yeah.
because I think they're trying to organize a little tighter, is what it looks like.
Which is good because I hate trying to go through and explain everything and learn everything. I wouldn't say that like even playing Baldur's Gate 3
Mm-hmm.
helped me figure out as a DM like how often like spell scrolls should be out there. Not as much as is in the game, but like I need to start supplying more of these things out in the world so my wizard can find those instead of him taking the initiative and shopping for them and finding them that way. But I really do like hunting around and finding spells that I'm missing from my spell book and like filling in the blanks.
So in Baldur's Gate, you're actually learning all of the spells.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're not?
No, I learned the
Why not?
ones. I learned the ones that I would ever actually use. Most of them I just keep on the scroll and cast them from there.
No, I learned them all.
Hmm.
You're a
Anyway,
terrible wizard.
it costs money, and I don't need to spend it.
So, last thing we'll talk about here is the weapon updates. So, from the previous podcast, a while ago, we talked about how they're giving all these new masteries to these weapons, and I just didn't like any of them. And they just seem kind of dumb and stupid. Like they're not really going to be adding any versatility to the weapons. And then coming off the back of Baldur's Gate 3, to bring that up yet again, what they did with weapons, like all the long swords have a slash ability that makes people bleed, and all the axes have this big heavy cleave that you could cleave through monsters with. Like those are really cool extra abilities that factor into me choosing one weapon over another.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, those have never affected what weapon I choose. I choose the one that deals the most fucking damage.
No. Like there were a couple times where like I was like, okay, am I gonna go with a long sword because I get the lacerate ability and make them bleed, or am I gonna go with this great axe that gives me that 360 just whirl? And there's a couple like some of the special magical swords have special magical abilities. There's a sword in the game that's kind of a shitty long sword. It doesn't have anything special to it, but it has a special ability on it that's essentially whirlwind from World of Warcraft. You just sit there and spin around, you just murdering the crap at everybody in this nice like little area.
I mean, if you get more than 2 or 3 guys on you, sure, but
Yeah. So I mean, like
that doesn't happen very often in the game, but okay.
well, it does to me when you have a very melee heavy party.
Yeah. Well, fair. I throw lots of AoE spells. Shit doesn't live long enough.
So like those abilities they have in the game just seem to work so much better, like a dashing like semi-charge attack with a spear. Um like those really seem to work. And so these weapon masteries, they've went through and revised them a little bit. So the heavy property was redesigned, and rather than based on size, it's based on your strength or dexterity score, which doesn't make any sense.
What? Yeah, you said
Yeah.
that and it didn't register.
So heavy weapons can now be strength or dexterity.
A heavy weapon is unwieldy compared to other weapons. You have disadvantage on your attack rolls with a heavy weapon if it's a melee weapon and your strength score is not at least 13. And if it's a ranged weapon and your dex score isn't at least 13, that's almost certainly going to get thrown out. Because this is not a final edition. This is still a playtest.
Yeah.
Because that's literally one, it doesn't make sense. Two, it's really fucking dumb.
Yeah. The flex property is gone. I don't even know what flex did.
I don't remember.
The push property now works on any creature that is large or smaller. It requires you to push the target straight away from you.
If you
Okay.
if you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller. Okay.
Okay. The sap property now works on weapons that have the versatility property or no property. So, longsword now has sap. Warpick now has sap. Spear has sap. The core
My
stuff now is a topple property, which they stole that from Baldur's Gate 3, because all those core stuffs in Baldur's Gate 3 have topple.
mm. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force the creature to make a con saving throw with a DC equal to 8 plus your prof bonus, the ability modifier used to make the attack roll. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition. All right.
Yeah. So they added some things like heavy melee weapons have cleave. Some of them have graze. Like those are kind of getting there. Like for fighters that have the mastery, and I guess the rogues that have mastery. But like I'd like to see them like roll in more of what Baldur's Gate 3 did into the weapons and unify them a lot more with special abilities.
I mean,
It
if they're gonna throw in a lot more of them, I'm all for it. You know me,
Yeah,
I want more. Just throw more shit in here.
yeah. So like a halberd is heavy, reach, two-handed, has cleave. So does the great axe, and the great sword has graze. What does graze do again?
Uh,
I think if you miss,
if your
it's
attack
still
roll with this weapon misses a creature, you can deal damage equal to the ability modifier used to make the attack roll.
yeah. Like see, that's cool. Like a lot of weapons should have that. Um, but I still think there should be something else like lacerate or some other kind of like when you hit somebody with this ability and you're choosing the lacerate option, it deals an extra 1d7 force damage or something like that because there's nothing for it that is bleed, and just deals more damage and gives the fighters and the melee people who don't have any kind of versatility in their combat other than I attacked 755,000 times
Yeah,
something to do.
that's one thing they seem to have shied away from so far in D&D is the bleed condition because I I can't say it wasn't in fourth, but it's never been a thing.
Well, it's because it's hard to track.
It is.
Um,
It's harder to track. It's harder to remember stuff like that. Pathfinder has it, and it does. It does get used. And I've only been running Pathfinder a few months. So, but I actually had added it as a 5e thing a while back.
yeah,
It is not a common thing, but I have one of my players got a weapon that can effectively cause a bleed condition.
I think if they get something like bleed in the game, instead of having to do a dot type damage, which is I think everyone kind of immediately goes to,
Hmm.
have it do like a condition where like you become dazed or just disadvantage on your attacks or
Sure.
something along those lines at the next turn. You know, in order to
Yeah.
basically lose that dot mechanic, because tracking dots and everything in fourth was just the worst thing possible.
If you've got one person doing it, I could see it not being too bad. If you've got the whole party doing it, oh my god.
Well, because it's just more weight on the DM to remember that they have that condition,
Yeah.
and that was the problem with fourth is that there's too many conditions out there.
Yeah.
You had to buy markers and put them down and use them and stack up little tokens and shit. And it was just the fucking worst.
Yeah, if you're
And
running the minis, I've seen like Mercer, he'll take the little different colored rings or rubber bands
yeah,
or whatever and stick them on the minis.
it just I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And I
Yeah.
had a friend that had a great thing. He bought a bunch of dowels, cut them out to be like a quarter-inch thick, and he labeled them and he painted them in different colors. And Scott, thank you, buddy, for doing that because it made playing the game so much better. But my God, it shouldn't have been a thing to begin with. It was
No,
so annoying.
I'm with you on that because conditions is one of the hardest things to keep up with, especially if it's something that's going to happen every round. So bleed is very difficult to maintain, and just too many conditions is hard to fucking keep up with as a DM.
So even the fact that like um when I play the game and people go prone or they like go unconscious and then because they hit 0 hit points and they drop their mini down like laying on its
Yeah.
back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's a cool thing to do.
That's been a thing
Okay,
forever.
it's been a thing forever. What annoys me, and this is the last thing I'll say, what annoys the shit out of me is when they become prone due to going to 0 hit points, and then they get healed. Okay,
And they
they're
stand them
still
back up
prone, and they
automatically. Yeah.
stand them back up automatically before waiting for the turn and then putting them back up, because it messes with my head, and it bothers me every time. I don't tell anybody that. I don't ever make a big deal about it, but since we're talking about it,
Yep.
it bothers me so much. I'm like, no, you're still prone. Put it back down there.
Get on the
Which is,
ground. Back on the ground where you belong.
uh,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I could see that being really annoying.
I'm gonna have to go through the warlock with a fine tooth comb to see what they fixed and what they didn't fix. But
Yep.
overall, they're getting there. They need to find that balance between D and Done being an updated fifth and not a new system, which what they were doing from the get go. But I think they're pulling enough back. I guarantee you, masteries are not going to be a thing.
Oh, I bet they are.
They will publish them. They will never get used.
If I run 5e, I'll absolutely fucking use them.
You'll be the only one.
Yeah, it might be, but they will
Just
get
like you'll be
used.
the only one watching the new Willy Wonka movie.
I probably won't, but I kind of wanna. I know I won't go to the theaters to see it though.
Mm.
Hell,
You
it's
know,
probably
there's one Willy Wonka movie.
yes, and
Sometimes you
it
don't
is great.
change greatness.
Oh, no argument here. The original is by far the greatest. The Johnny Depp travesty never should have been made, and honestly, this new one probably also should not have.
We're doing a redo Willy Wonka. We're going to make it a prequel. Well, how
No,
about you release a new version of D&D that's a prequel to first?
yep.
Call it
Hmm. Call
Scale
it
Mail.
yeah. Perfect. I'd play it. I'd give it a shot. You only get you get to pick from 3 classes. That's it. You have
And all in it.
you get spellcaster, fighter, rogue.
And the best part is too, when you open up the rule book, it's just like the old paper bag covers to a book, and when you take off the paper cover, all they did is basically put the paper covering on the 11th edition rulebook for Warhammer 40k.
Oh god.
Like, oh yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah. None of this makes sense. All right. I think we're done here. I don't have anything else to talk about. Not like I actually had anything to start with because I was LARPing all weekend, but
Doing it next Monday.
yeah. Yeah, check us out next Monday where we play this other game. But now I think we're going to go play some other games. All right.
Yep, as it is. Talk to
All
you
right.
later, Barry.
Bye,
Bye.
Craig.
Bye, Craig. Bye, Jay.